So I'm Ben Owen. I'm the founder and CEO of We Fight Monsters.
What led you to start We Fight Monsters?
All right, so how long you got?
Well, let's get the somewhat abbreviated version.
All right, so short version is this, all right? I got discharged from the Army after a very short time in 2002, ended up with a really fucked up leg, which, long story short, led to an addiction to pain pills, which spiraled into a heroin addiction. Eventually ended up homeless on the streets of South Memphis. In 2021, I started a nonprofit called Flanders Fields to help other homeless and addicted vets. And by proxy of our work out there on the streets, realized that there's a whole lot more people out there than veterans that need and deserve our help. And so in December of 2022, we set up a second nonprofit called We Fight Monsters, which has a focus on really anybody that's struggling out there, but really our focus is around mitigating the effects of the streets on kids. So sex trafficked women, kids coming from really fucked up, jacked up, broken homes, kids getting recruited into gangs to do things like carjackings, sell dope, all of the calamities that affect our inner cities. That's what We Fight Monsters is here to fight.
You think that your history with drugs puts you in a position that you're able to help in a way that's maybe somebody who hasn't seen that lifestyle can?
Yeah, absolutely. And in a few unexpected ways too, right? So I've still got access and placement among the criminal element just because of my history out there. People trust me. They know, Ben's not the guy that's going to go to the police if he sees some fucked up shit happening. So I'm still able to get us into places where most, really any humanitarian's not going to be able to get into in South Memphis and North Memphis and other places. So I've got the rapport, I guess, with the bad guys to be able to get into help people that we can't otherwise help, and to put a stop to very volatile, dangerous situations sometimes, whereas a cop trying to go in and do that is only going to escalate things. So that's one way. Then the more obvious way, I think, is, I can relate to the people we're trying to help because I've been in their shoes. I've bled with half of them. And then the ones that we're just meeting, it doesn't take but 5 minutes of interaction for them to realize, oh shit, this dude gets it. He may not look like me, but he comes from the same place I do. And so that the element of trust that we're able to build with alacrity out there with both the bad guys and the people that are struggling, it's absolutely very helpful. And then the third way that I didn't really expect my background to come in as an advantage is because of the work we did with Flanders Fields early on, with the evac out of Afghanistan and then Ukraine and a few other weird places. We've got a pretty solid network of, I hate to use the term law enforcement, but people working with various federal agencies or former or active military who have a heart for the same populations we do. And so we're able to tackle issues that normally would result with victims going to jail, but we're able to avoid that, right?
All right, so I'm Josh Snead. How I ended up here was by the grace of God, honestly. Kind of like what he was saying, man, I've lived a criminal lifestyle to the T. If criminology was a class, I'd be the professor of it, I promise. Like, until I ended up, like I said, by the grace of God, actually going to jail. And you don't really hear that very often. But I was at a point in my life where I needed help, and I did not know how to get the help that I needed. My addiction had me so far gone that I wasn't going to admit that I needed help. I wasn't going to come to anybody and say, hey man, this is who I am, this is the life I'm living in, and I want to be able to get out of it, because I was always high, and it wasn't going to allow me to come and admit anything to anybody because I didn't like being around people. I was a criminal. I was out doing stuff at night by myself, trying to avoid people the most that I could, because you never knew when you're going to run into somebody that you know, or that they've seen you do this or to do that. So, and I was bouncing from bando to bando, kicking people's doors for money, going and repossessing stuff for not your regular crowd of people. Ended up in jail with a lot of charges that brought a lot of years. They gave me an opportunity to come to drug court, a program that will help me have structure in my life and just a new and all-around restart on life in general. So when I got out of treatment and went and met the drug court team, they told me that there was a sober living home called Rebo's, or wanted me to go to Rebo's. So I got in touch with Rebo's and moved in. From the get-go there, I was treated like something I've never been treated. And that was a human. That was somebody that mattered. Somebody that had potential to do anything other than bad or wrong. You know, I didn't know what that felt like. You know, to be talked to like a regular human being and treated like somebody that wasn't a bad person that might have just made some mistakes. That was something brand new to me. And it gave me a different perspective on life. Like that, right off the rip. Like maybe I do have a chance, you know? Maybe there is more to me than what I know, you know? These are all people that have been here and done this and been in it longer than I have, so they see stuff that I don't. Why don't we give it a try? So I started trying, you know? That's really all I wanted was an opportunity. And like I said, I didn't know how. Ben and Jess Owens and Bubba, you know, gave me that opportunity. They gave me opportunities in ways that I didn't know were possible to just live, you know. Addiction had taken over my life, and they are giving me that chance to take back over my life and start living my life in a better, in a more proper manner. Something that I'm starting to realize really is a real thing is you get to keep what you have by giving it away. You know, out there on them streets, man, I always wish that somebody was going to walk up with a better opportunity. Like, hey, man, you don't have to live this way. Or, hey, you want to live better. You don't want to have to worry. You want to sleep at night. You know, have some peace in your life. Always wanted that. And that's what they're giving me. So, in return, now I get to go out and give that same opportunity to other people. Like, they don't like it when I brag on them, but they have literally allowed me to live my dream. I'm living something that I literally dreamed about. You know, it's a complete lifestyle turnaround. It's the opportunity that a lot of people need and don't know that it's even possible. You know, people with addiction are shunned right off the rip. When you see them and look at them, oh no, hey, stay away from this person. They're no good. Why? Why are they no good? What, because they're making mistakes or they don't know that they have value? That's where that problem lies, man. Like, we have to stop looking at people like they have no value because of the mistakes that they make, because it's not the mistakes we make in life. It's how we recover from the mistakes we've made. It's whether we take the notion to learn from them and grow. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of cases, people don't have the people around them that'll drive them forward just because of their mistakes or their lifestyle choices. We have to start looking at people like they are human, like they do have value, like they are worthy, because they are. Who are we to judge what they've done or who they've turned out to be? We're not God. That's one of God's children. And we're supposed to love them and show them care and help nurture them back to health. That's what this journey has started to teach me. You know, I'm learning how to be a good man. And that's not something I thought was ever in my reach.
So Ben, did you ever think that you would set up a program or be a part of something that elicited responses like that? Change like that?
No, never in a million years. And you know what's crazy? You know this because you were there for it. But Reba's, I got kicked out of that motherfucker in 2014. Right? I got kicked off drug court, the same program this guy's a rock star of. And you know, I know this is going to be seen publicly, so I'm going to choose my words carefully. Actually, I'm not choosing this carefully. This is God honest truth. I love the drug court staff. I always have, even when they had to do me the way that I deserved to be done. I loved them because I knew they wanted something different for me. But never in a million years did I think I would be in a position where they're actually recommending people talk with me. You know, they're sending people to us because they like the way we're managing things. The part I want to word carefully is, you know, I'm just going to say it. They wrote me off, right? They thought I was a piece of worthless shit because that's how I presented myself. And if you knew the intricacies, which actually you might, of what I pulled, yeah, I looked like a worthless piece of shit, you know. Judge Dwyer told Jess to leave me, told her I was worthless and, you know, a fraud. And I mean, that's how I presented myself to them. So to be able to have the redemption of coming full circle and now present opportunities to guys like this who actually get it from the get-go, I don't have words for that. You know, if I had been able to come into that program the way he has and the way we've seen so many other people come into it, well, we wouldn't be sitting here right now, because I wouldn't have gone out there and suffered the way that I did. So I guess in a roundabout way, it's good. But I don't want anybody else to have to go through what I put myself through to get to where we are today. And so for us to be sitting here talking about how we're providing a sense of worth, especially to the females that are coming through, he's already flagged and helped us pull one trafficked female here in Memphis that we're housing now. And he really hit on one of the biggest pain points we've got, is that these women do not know that they're worth more than what they've been doing. And we'll call a spade a spade. They're selling themselves to support a habit. You know, their addiction is getting exploited by everybody around them. And we try to stand in that gap and show them they are worth more than that. And it's not just the women, the dudes too. You heard him. He didn't realize he was worth more. You know, you've got to show people. And if you look at the problems that plague our city here, none of them are going to get fixed by criminalize. That's the wrong word. We can't arrest our way out of this problem, right? The war on drugs has been an abject failure. We all know it. We were at an anti-trafficking conference a couple weeks ago, and several of the prosecutors that were presenting there made the point that we're never going to prosecute our way out of the situation that we're in with sex trafficking, with human trafficking. And the same holds true for addiction. There's so many parallels in the way we as a society, a civil society, have to address those issues and make sure the right people are going to jail. Putting victims in jail is not the way. I can't tell you how many times I got arrested in front of the trap house just to go right back to the trap house when I bonded out. The arresting the addicts ain't gonna fix anything. You gotta arrest, you know, the dope boys. You gotta arrest the traffickers. I went off on a tangent there. My ADHD is, well, you know. But yeah, what's next?
Criminal ADHD.
Yeah, it's weaponized ADHD, baby.
So what I've heard from both of you guys is that a lot of it has to do with self-worth and the lack of it. Does anybody sit here and go, hey, we need to work on this, or is it just sort of like an inherent?
If you've ever been in any 12-step program, following those steps is something that would benefit literally every human being. And a byproduct of working those steps in your life, whether you're an addict or not, is you're going to discover you have self-worth. And what's so cool about 12-step program, the 12th step in particular, is that it's about service. And that is where we find our worth as human beings, is by being of service and providing value to another human being. And I think for those of us that have been out there broken, we find that value in ourselves, serving those who are still broken. And that's, you know, so most definitely. We may not have an explicit, like I'm stating it right now, we're going to focus on giving people self-worth, but that's what happens. Otherwise, we've failed. Yeah. You know. Now these guys will do a lot of different programs in IOP, intensive outpatient, that do focus on things like that, and we try to coordinate and foster as strong a relationship we can with IOP providers, like ones that do really outside the box stuff, not just MRT, moral recognition therapy, not just EMDR, but like anything, whatever works is going to work. And for some folks, it takes a lot of different tries to find that. Some folks like you. Yeah, like me, exactly, right? I was probably the most difficult. Yeah, I was. You got to break somebody down completely sometimes to be able to build them back up. Or in my case, you have to allow somebody to break themselves down on their own, completely and totally, until they hit that point that Josh referenced a minute ago of acceptance. And there were times when I had hit that point, I would just sit there and fantasize about getting arrested. I can't stop myself. I need to be stopped. Somebody needs to fucking stop me. But that those moments are so fleeting that if there's not that immediate intervention, whether it's by law enforcement or by an extended hand, right there in that moment, you're going to get through it and you're going to get that next hit, and then it's, back off to the races, which is why we're trying to be ever present out there. And I would love to see armies of Joshes, flooding the streets with that hand whenever somebody's ready to grab it.
See, that's one of them things about, like what I was just saying, you have to look at people like they are valuable, because I don't like referencing myself, but the Joshes are those broken people that are shunned and looked away. Like people with addiction are not just people with addiction. Dude, they live a life where they hustle every day. They come up with what they need every day. They go through battles that normal people never see. They're resilient, more resilient than most people that don't have addiction problems. They go through more. They have to learn more. They have to come up with better occupations and better ways to provide for their family that normal people just don't have to worry about on a normal basis, because they go to work, they get paid every day. Like, man, you see somebody rebound out of addiction, hey, well, that's somebody that's going to go somewhere.
Yeah, that's strong.
It is. It's the truth. You know what I mean? And like he was saying a minute ago, once you find yourself in a broken place, a lot of times people look at that like, oh my God, I'm broken. I don't know where to go or what to do. It's such a beautiful place to be.
Yeah.
It is. Because when you're broken, you have nowhere to turn but to God. And when you turn to God and start literally surrendering, you start seeing change in your life. Then you run into people like him and his wife. They provide purpose. With that purpose, you get value. You get self-worth. You start seeing, and I'm not a bad person. Then you can, in return, go out and help somebody else. And when you see that you can help somebody else, there's no turning back. The high that you get from that outweighs every other high that you can get from the streets. Just to be able to give back.
It absolutely does. There is no, and I'm addicted to helping people. Like, there's no doubt about it. And they say there's no such thing as a healthy addiction. Bullshit. This is healthy. Am I going to die an early death because I'm going all the time? Yeah, probably. You know what? But when I reach the end of that life, I'll look back and I'll say, yeah, that was one worth having lived. What's the point? And you've seen me build, I don't even know how many businesses over the years, and be successful. What's the point of, let's say I didn't have that addiction and I, retired out of Retech, a multi-millionaire, and I have my kids and my little cozy existence in the fucking country. So 20 years from now, who's going to remember my name? I'm like, oh, that was a cool dude. Nah, that's not the legacy I want to leave. I want to leave a legacy of what he just described, bringing a whole lot of people out of the fucking gutter and helping them realize they're capable of doing some really amazing things. He made a really good point. If you think about just the volume of hustle most of these folks that are out there have to stay high, stay not sick, stay fed, and hopefully stay indoors, it's staggering.
Does the work that you do on the Buy Back the Block stuff, because I know you're pretty heavily involved in that, does that maybe help you stay sober or give you purpose?
Oh, in every way possible. Any way that you can actually imagine. I've never really just held a job down. So for one thing, I'm learning how to be a man, how to work every day, and then to know that it's going to help somebody that really needs it. So I'm giving back too. So even my job is a service to others. It's allowing me to build my life around recovery and not build recovery around my life. And there is a very big difference. Building my life around recovery, that's my foundation. It's the people that I have around me. It's the people that I keep around, the ones that I want to be around. I go to meetings. Everything that I do has turned from a criminal lifestyle to a recovery lifestyle. So I'm taking that same initiative that I was being a criminal and putting it towards becoming a better person. And lo and behold, I'm starting to see myself become a better person. And it's because I get to get up and go to work every day. I have a job. I can provide for myself. I don't have to get up and go find my drug of choice and wonder and plan out how I'm going to attack the world today. Now I get to go out and attack addiction every day, even with as small as putting a nail in a wall. You know, it doesn't have to be anything big. It doesn't have to be anything recognizable. You know, go build a wall. Hey, that wall is going to have a kid in it that needs it. Wrong. There's been so many times that I needed something just that simple. You start small and work big. You know, being able to go to work. You know, my son's birthday's coming up Monday. I've got 2 or 3 different things for him right now for his birthday. It's stuff like that. It adds value to your life. You start being able to look at that man in the mirror and be okay with him. You know, peace.